Hi and welcome to this video where we're going to talk about data and information. We are currently in the middle of a data revolution, and it's the businesses that see data as a strategic asset are the ones that are likely to survive and thrive. Currently we are creating more data than we've ever created before, and those that seek insight from them and gain insight from them are the ones that have that competitive edge. Data itself can help you grow your revenue, can help improve those decision makings, and as I've just said, will also give you a competitive edge. Now in this video we're going to cover quite a few sort of sections, but what we're going to do is we're going to look at the insight section of data. So when we talk about data, we've got hindsight data, so we'll have the what happened and why. You've got the insight, which is the when, the actionable, and looking at a bit of predictive where we are now, and then you've got foresight, which is in the how, the artificial intelligence and the machine learning. We're not going to cover that kind of stuff now, so we're just going to focus on the actionable insight and how that can help move you forward in your business. So the first thing that I want to look at is how information can help drive you forward. Now imagine yourself in a car. We live in a world where we've got lots and lots of information all the time, and when you're driving in the car, you're looking there. If you're in a nice modern car, you've got all the stats which are around how the car's performing. You've got your fuel gauge, you've got your temperature gauge, you've got your speedometer, you've got the radio, you've got lots of things going on there. All of this is giving you information, and even in some of those new cars, you've got on the wing mirror, it tells you when someone's close to overtake you, so in the blind spot. All of this is giving you information. Now why can't you have that in the business world? And this is what I try and say to everyone is, imagine that you are running your business and your business is the car. That information is and should be available to you from an operations perspective about how you are doing right now. So when we talk about dashboards and we talk about how we can move people forward, the first thing I say is, well, operationally running, how can we help you there? And that's where data is very valuable to help move you forward. Then we can then start looking at the sat-nav, and the sat-nav I like to think of as your strategic direction. So as is what happens with sat-navs now, is when it sees that there's a problem coming up, they automatically readjust and give you a new direction. Now you can do that if you get your strategies right and you get the information being recorded right. So we can in essence create that sat-nav of the future, telling you whether or not you're going to hit your target to help you move forward. So the next thing I want to talk about is how data can help find you new opportunities or even give you a different direction. And I've got two examples, so we'll start off with these ones. So the first example is a famous vacuum company, and I won't say who they are, but in essence, whenever you're building or you're selling a service or a product, once you release it, you become a reactive organization from a customer standpoint, because you're then waiting for the customer to contact you if there's anything wrong. So how can data and analytics help here? So what this company is going down the route of doing is getting all the products to talk back to the business. They can do that via connecting it to the internet and then gather the information that way. And what you're getting is self-diagnostic information. You're getting information about how and when those products are being used. But what that company is then able to do is they're able to look at it and have the product tell them when there's a problem before the customer is even known. Therefore, you've changed the way that you deal with your customer service. So, users may not even know that there's ever been a problem because you've identified that there was a problem, you've arranged for it to be fixed, and the product is still working. So they don't know anything different. Now that's a large company, and then how can you get things out of a small company? So there's an example, there's a famous example which is around a butcher shop actually, and you'd think, well, how can a butcher shop use big data or information at all? To help make or change directions. So this butcher shop was having a problem. It wasn't sure how it was going to make more money. It needed to make more money. It wasn't doing particularly well. And you had everyone come in. You had the accountants come in, looking at the books, telling you what you could sell, how things are going. You've got salespeople coming in, trying to help improve sales and marketing and so on and so forth. And then what the guys actually did from a data standpoint is they got a little sensor. They put a little sensor at the top of the shop, and it was able to look at when people were walking past the front of the shop window. And they switched it on. It wasn't very expensive, but they switched it on and they left that running for a couple of weeks. When they analysed the data a couple of weeks later, they discovered that actually the biggest footfall was actually at 10 o'clock at night on a Thursday and a Friday. And they started doing some analysis, and what they identified was actually there was around the corner was a couple of pubs, and most people at closing time or near closing time would often walk past the windows on those times. So as it was a butcher shop, they did actually do a little bit of cooked food, and what was suggested at the time was going, well, why don't you have a go at opening the window, opening a door or some kind, and selling some food, hot food, to those people as they walk past. And actually what ended up happening was they made more money doing that than they did running the whole of the butcher shop. But it was just a demonstration to sort of show that actually looking at the data and understanding and analysing the data can give you that different sort of opportunity, or in this instance was a bit of a different direction. Now, there are many companies out there which have become data centric, and that is where they've put data at the heart of everything they do. Examples include Amazon, include Uber, Airbnb, Monzo, you've got Google, Facebook, and actually I was chatting to someone the other day. I went to a networking event which was around project management and data analytics, and they're even looking at how you can get insightful information out of project management when you're doing global projects or even sharing with other people. And I think that brings us on to the other side of things. Companies are starting up now where they are buying, selling, or even trading that information, and that's where the real value lies. You look at the weather data, for example. Every business, to some extent, would want to know weather data, especially in like transportation, to understand, how should they be sending people out or shouldn't they? So that then becomes very valuable data to have, and to be able to sell that. So there's profit and things there. This brings us on to the types of data, and there's multiple types of data. So just a couple of high level ones. We've got activity type data, where everyone's got Fitbits now and they're recording what you're doing, your steps, and that's quite a big thing. You've got conversational data, so you've not only got the phone calls where there's software that records what people are saying and then you can convert that. You've got text, you've got messaging, you've got social media, you've got photo and video data, you've got sensory data, so what's outside at the moment, the temperatures, even what people are doing in their car driving wise. There's all that sort of information that's available. So there's lots of information, and I think historically you only had internal data, but now you can have your internal data, which is valuable to you, and that can be a competitive edge. But combining that with the external data that you can get hold of, that's where the real power lies, and that's the real opportunity going forward. So that's just the tip of data and information. There's so much more that we could talk about. I think historically companies used to avoid, smaller companies used to avoid this because it was very expensive. But with the with what's going on with the cloud technology, with the technology that's actually been created, it's actually a lot easier to get hold of data. It's a lot easier to manipulate that data. You just need to go on that journey to get yourself to be data centric. If there's anything else you want to know, please feel free to give us a call, send us an email. Hopefully you can like and share the video and subscribe to watch the next one.